Hello everybody, and welcome to the Deisel Goalkeeping channel. And today, I'm going to be reviewing the Reusch Fit Control Pro AX2 Ortho-tec. Now, as I start off the review with these gloves, it is important that I mention that I have had significant experience with these gloves. I have worn this exact model of the AX2 Ortho-tec since 2016. These have always been my #1 go-to wet weather gloves across all of these years. And my proof for this being in 2017 when my local team, back when I was still playing community, we won our division. I was in fact wearing these gloves when I did save 3 penalties in the final. So it is fair to say that I have quite the experience with these gloves and plenty to tell you about. Damn, look how young I was. Like, you can see in the cheeks and... The first thing you're going to notice when you put on these gloves, as you do with any other top of the range Reusch glove, is the Ortho-tec. The Ortho-tec, we can go on forever about it. I've spoke about it in previous reviews. It's by far one of the most identifiable traits of a Reusch glove. However, when we're looking at this glove, which is designated and designed purely to be a wet weather glove as due to the AX2 latex, it nearly makes the perfect complement to the situation. If there's going to be an environment where you're going to deal with slippery balls, if you're going to have shots against you which you may ricochet and you may not be so certain of, it's going to be when you're in wet weather conditions. And what better way to deal with that than when you have the shock absorbance of the Reusch Ortho-tec system. Another thing to love about these gloves, which I would honestly say a lot of other top of the range Reusch gloves lack, is this actually feels really tight to your fingers. Something that I've always commended Reusch on is the way that they stitch their gloves, the way they do the inner stitching on the outside of the palm so that it doesn't get caught onto things and increases the overall durability of the latex. It does tend to lead to bagginess in the finger areas when they do eliminate that portion from the side of the hand. However, in this circumstance, they've absolutely nailed it. As soon as you put on these gloves, complemented by the way how it's so tight on your fingers and with the Ortho-tec giving you pressure and support from the side of the glove. If let's say you get in front of a man and you come up to take a save, you don't have to worry about your gloves sliding around when you take the catch, nor do you even have to worry about readjusting your gloves afterwards because the fit is so tight, and especially when you're in wet conditions as well. You know, the ball's slippery enough, your gloves are slippery enough, you don't want to have to deal with actually your hands slipping around inside of the glove, just making it an absolute coordinational nightmare. And all of these issues have been eradicated with Reusch's intuition when making this glove. And another thing I absolutely adore about these gloves is the grip. If we take a look at other brands such as Sport or Nike, where yes, they have made some phenomenal latexes which have been to survive and to perform well in wet and muddy conditions, they do oftentimes have the worst durability. Because typically when you have the softest latex, it tends to be the most grippiest. Unless it's the most grippiest, it tends to get caught onto things and you go through gloves a lot quicker. However, with these gloves, it's different. With Reusch's AX2 latex, which, as I said earlier, I've been using for 4 years now, it lasts for not even 1 winter, 2 winter, whatever. It lasts for seasons. Despite using this same style of glove for 4 years, this is my 2nd pair. And I only got these at the beginning of this season, and that wasn't even due to necessarily the performance of the glove being worn down. Rather, I had just grown out of the gloves that I had previously got in this style. Even when we compare it to, let's say, the Sport Super Resist latex, when they have the graphite ingrained into the glove to make the durability better, this is still more durable than that. And if you look at the palm, there's nothing ingrained into it. When I initially bought my first pair of these Ortho-tec AX2 gloves 4 years ago, I would have never expected it to last more than a season. And it has truly been not only one of the most pleasurable experiences that I've had wearing a glove, as well as one of the most rewarding, as alluded to earlier. Now, something that I love to complain about in my reviews is the wrist strap. And I can tell you, my friends, this wrist strap is exactly what I like in a goalkeeper glove. Got my name there. As you can see, it's the very simple, just one flap over the top, bang, you're done. You know, you can also have it super tight, you can have it a bit looser. It doesn't impact the way the glove fits on the hand necessarily because it's already so tight and so firm in there, which is obviously amazing. But it's just another additional comfort feature which I personally love. As well as the wrist insert, if we look here, there is a elasticated section here which, when it's a wet day and your hands are sticky, your hands are cold, you want to be able to just slide it in there. With this elasticated part of the glove, you can just slide it in no matter what the friction, because the friction between your wet hands and the elastication, you know, it gets in so much more easier than if it wasn't there. And once again, it's another small feature of this glove that has a huge impact in the long run. Something, however, which they added to this new release of the glove, which I don't exactly remember being in the first pair that I got, was this mesh right over there, which I assume is for breathability. Now, I was kind of thinking at the time, why would you have holes in the gloves if it's supposed to prevent water getting in, if it's supposed to be wind resistant? Let's face it, it's inevitable that no matter what, when there's condensation, when it's wet on the ground, your hands are going to get wet. The reason why the breathability holes are there is so your hands can dry out and ultimately not stay wet inside of the glove. This glove is phenomenal at keeping water out. And when I say that, I'm comparing it to the Adidas Climber Warm glove that I reviewed a few weeks ago. This glove absolutely lets no water in. That's pretty much all I can really say about that. Like, I've played in absolutely awful weather and my actual fingers haven't gotten wet as a result of diving into a puddle, getting a wet ball shot at my face. It's a very rewarding experience, especially if you have had the misfortune of wearing gloves that aren't necessarily catered to wet weather environments, and your hands do get wet, and your hands are sliding around in your glove, and it just makes it even harder to make the most simplest of saves. Here's the answer. Also, in that same caliber, wind resistance, absolutely phenomenal, second to none. Even comparing it to the Climber Warm glove, the Climber Warm glove had specially designed backhand to stop the wind from coming in. This does the exact same thing, if not better. Even with the holes in the backhand for ventilation, you still cannot feel the wind when it is blowing. And I know from watching this, you guys may be thinking, oh, this guy loves this glove. It's his favorite glove. He's been using it for years. He's won accolades with it. You know, he's probably not going to say anything bad about it. Well, wrong. There are some flaws in this glove, can be worked at, can be fixed, and for the punching zone at the back of the hand, although there is some embossing, there's no aggressive embossing. And I said this before with the new Predator style backhand, how there's spikes, makes it a very blunt punching feeling rather than you've got like sections on your glove where you can just follow through and you've got those points protected. This does give it a very blunt punching feeling, which some people like. I personally do not like it. So if they were going to add a more aggressive embossing on the backhand for punching, I wouldn't complain, but as well, it's not detrimental to the glove. Also, and I know this may seem like, you know, it's not a real issue, but you have to be careful of it or else the gloves will wear out. These palms, when it comes after absolutely being drenched in water and mud and whatever, they are sticky as hell. Let me tell you that. When you put them like this and you stick them together, put them in your bag, it's fine. This is some of the most durable latex I've had the pleasure to play with. If you put your thumb on the side of your glove like this and then fold them up, you're gonna have some issues. If you take a look at this thumb here, you can see that we have a little bit of a tear starting to come along right there. And that is purely from this latex being so sticky after a game and my perhaps ignorance to not exactly fold them up correctly. It's led to the actual backhand being torn off due to the stickiness of the latex. Do you know how insane that is? The sustained stickiness of this latex is enough to pull apart like a literal waterproof backhand. That is some of the most... If you would have said that in the goalkeeping game 10 years ago, you would have been called insane. It's a major compliment to Reusch, but it's also like, this is very powerful and you have to be careful to actually look after these gloves or else all the parts you don't expect to be torn up will end up being torn up. As does most Ortho-tec gloves that come straight out of the box. They do take a little bit of time to wear into. The Ortho-tec with any new Ortho-tec is very rigid, so You have to play around with them a bit, use them in a few training sessions before you go out into a match. They do take some getting used to, but ultimately in the end, it's not detrimental. So overall, by far, these gloves are my go-to for wet weather, have been for the past 4 years, and I highly doubt that will change anytime soon. Even compared to the other more expensive Reusch wet weather gloves that are what are they called? The Hydra cut, where it's right like in the shape of the fingers, like the circular finger inserts. These are so much better than them at a fraction of the price. These are by far the best wet weather gloves I've ever worn, and if you are watching this video and are looking for a fairly priced wet weather goalkeeper glove, I would 100% implore you to buy these pair. 100% without a doubt. They will last you for seasons if you treat them right. And that leads me to my final rating of the gloves. For the first ever time on the Deisel Ryan Goalkeeping channel, I am rating these gloves 5 stars out of 5. In actual usage, on the field, in training sessions, I could not ask for a more reliable, better wet weather glove. Sure, there's certain aspects such as it still has a punching zone. It may not be extremely aggressive, but it sure as hell does the job. And it may be rigid coming out of the box, but what the hell isn't rigid coming out of the box? To any goalkeeper out there, I would 100% recommend you buy these gloves, without a shadow of a doubt. Anyway guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Feedback in the comments below. Tell me what gloves to review next. Let me know if you want me to do something other than glove reviews. Like if you want to see drills or training, gym work, whatever you want. Also, please like and share my videos. It's been absolutely crazy to see the amount of views and the YouTube analytics, the amount of time that's been watched of my videos. I would have never expected that to happen from just some Australian kid who loves goalkeeping. And make sure you're tuned in next week for the next weekly review. I'll see you next time.